Hello, my friend. Today we are going to travel to the art museum in Boston. I'm going to tell you the true story of America's craziest art collection and the thieves who stole it. Imagine stepping into a stunning Venetian palace hidden in the heart of Boston. Not a stuffy museum with white walls and random contemporary art, but a living dreamscape filled with Renaissance masterpieces, exotic sculptures, famous art, and the whispers of scandalous parties attended by era's greatest minds. This is the vault of Isabella Stewart Gardner, the fiery socialite and adventurous spirit who turned her passion for beauty into one of America's most audacious art collections. But beneath the glamour lies a shadow, the largest art theft in history, a crime so brazen it left empty frames mocking visitors to this day. Welcome inside the powerful, enigmatic realm of Isabella Gardner, a tale of creative vision, tragedy, and treasures still missing. Dedicated to the enjoyment of the public from the very beginning, this palace was never Isabella's house. Rather, it's a Venetian-style palace filled with art, history, and beauty that reflects her aesthetic and taste. The courtyard alone is a stunning floral masterpiece. Let's look at Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum history and life. Born in 1840 to a wealthy New York family of linen merchants, Isabella Stewart was not shrinking violet. Nicknamed Belle, she was sharp-witted, fiercely independent, and destined to shake up Boston's buttoned-up elite. She grew up in Manhattan and lived in Paris and Italy in her teenage years, studying art, languages, religion, and music. At 20, she married John Jack Gardner, heir to a shipping fortune, in a union that blended New York flair with Boston restraint. They settled into a grand townhouse on Beacon Street, but joy turned to heartbreak when their only child, little Jackie, died at 18 months from pneumonia in 1867. Isabella had multiple miscarriages and a stillbirth. After such brutal beginnings, Isabella experienced severe depression. Devastated, the Gardners escaped into the world, embarking on grand tours of Europe and the Middle East, including northern India, Syria, and Egypt. Venice became their obsession. The city's labyrinth, canals, and opulent palazzos igniting Isabella's passion for the arts. Venice is like eating an entire box of chocolate liqueurs at one go, she once said. These artful journeys of an entire decade were awakenings to her true passion, art. Isabella devoured art history, studied Italian literature at Harvard, unheard of for a woman back then, and began amassing rare books, manuscripts, her first foray into art collecting. In 1875, her husband's brother died, and Jack and Isabella adopted three boys. So, where did Isabella's wealth come from? Isabella's wealth came from her father, who imported textiles from Europe to the US at first, and then he made investments in railroads and mines, accumulating a fortune that he gave to his daughter at 51 years of age after his passing. According to Diana Greenwald, curator of the collection at the Gardner, Isabella inherits the equivalent of about $78 million in today's money. She and her husband Jack jointly decide that they are going to live off of Jack's money, which also comes from family inheritance and investments, and they will spend her money on art. When you walk into the Gothic room, you'll see a vertical painting in the corner depicting Isabella Stewart Gardner in a simple black dress set against the red-orange Italian textiles. Painted by famous artist in her day, John Singer Sargent, the woman is 47 in this oil painting. Sargent was known for painting large portraits of high society men and women in loose, fresh, and fluid brushstrokes. He is one of my favorite painters. In this painting, he designs it in circles. Look at the halo above her head, the circle of pearls on her waistline, and the circle of her interlocking hands. She stands tall, facing us with confidence. It was a scandalous portrait among Bostonian high society at her time. It was hidden from view. Her husband didn't like the painting, but Isabella did like it, and she placed it in a corner where people could actually see it. Let's look at Isabella Gardner art collection. By the 1880s, Isabella's taste evolved from manuscripts to canvases. She met Bernard Berenson, the charismatic Harvard art connoisseur of Italian Renaissance art, who became her lifelong advisor and confidant. Together from the 1890s onward, they went to Europe and scoured it for gems, outbidding rivals in smoky auction houses. As she inherited almost 2 million from her father in old money, Isabella began her art collecting journey of European fine art. Isabella's eye was eclectic and bold. Italian Renaissance masterpieces like Titian's The Rape of Europa, A Stormy Seascape by Rembrandt, and the delicate Chinese bronzes from ancient dynasties, the concert by Vermeer that she bought at a Paris auction, and a delicate Botticelli's Madonna and Child. She snapped up Impressionist stunners, Manet, and even contemporary works and Degas. No dusty timelines here. Her collection spanned 3,000 years across 5 continents, blending European art with vibrant Persian textiles, silver, manuscripts, ceramics, and architectural pieces. By her death, it numbered over 2,500 objects, a fortune that would rival kings. When you walk into the palace, you have to adjust your eyesight as it seems very dark at first, especially in the first floor cloisters. Isabella not only designed the rooms and art displays, but also varied the lighting in each room of the house, so it was intentional. Be mindful it's crowded on the first floor, and some rooms have a line with a 5-10 minute wait time to enter each room. So I suggest you visit the museum earlier in the morning. So the house consists of incredibly beautiful courtyard. It features the Roman mosaic in its center depicting Medusa. It also hosts all female Roman statues. A novel glass roof was Isabella's design, and it doesn't emit the UV light to protect the art. The flowers must change weekly, and the entire floral arrangements must change every 6 weeks, according to Christina Nielsen, curator of the collection. And, the Venetian style windows are reminiscent of Venice. I think the second and third floor has the most beautiful rooms and are reminiscent of beautiful Venice. I felt like I was transported into the past. Raphael room is one of the most beautiful ones in the palace, decorated in vivid, luxurious red. This opulent room displays paintings by the 15th and 16th century Italian painters. There are many beautiful rooms like short gallery, little salon, tapestry room, Dutch room. Even the staircases are interesting because they're filled with art of different kind. And when you reach the third floor, you will see the Veronese room, Titian room, long gallery and chapel, Spanish chapel, and Gothic room. And every room has a unique flavor, art, objects. The surprising fact, none of them have labels, so it feels like a real palace, not a museum. During the couple's visits to Venice, they stayed in the Palazzo Barbara on the Grand Canal, which was an inspirational hub for Isabella's soul. So, back home in Boston, Isabella didn't want her treasures locked in a vault for herself only. In 1898, tragedy struck again. Jack died suddenly of a stroke at 65, and the 58-year-old widow poured her grief into her creation. She bought a swampy Fenway plot and envisioned Fenway Court, a 15th century Venetian palazzo transplanted to Boston's marshes. Construction began in 1899 under architect Willard T. Sears, blending Byzantine mosaics, Gothic loggias, and a soaring glass-roofed courtyard garden bursting with exotic blooms year-round. Palm fronds swaying beside marble statues, a living heartbeat at the museum's core. Completed in 1901, Isabella spent 2 years installing her collection exactly as she dreamed. No chronological order or labels, just poetic juxtapositions, no changes afterwards. She opened the doors to the public in 1903, but with a twist. This was her home on the fourth floor, too. Upstairs, her private apartment brimmed with lionskin rugs and velvet drapes. The rest of the house was destined to become an art museum. She was 62 years old when Isabella opened it. When she died in 1924 at the age of 84, her will about the art museum came into effect. Fenway Court wasn't a mere art gallery for private parties, it was Boston's cultural supernova that she designed herself. Isabella hosted legendary soirees, concerts under the courtyard stars, literary salons. Eccentric to the core, Isabella once crashed a symphony in a Red Sox headband, scandalizing prudes. Her parties blurred the lines between high society and bohemia, making Fenway Court the epicenter of America's Gilded Age art scene. Now I'm going to tell you about Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum Heist. Yet for all its splendor, Fenway Court harbors an unsolved Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum heist story. On March 18, 1990, two thieves in Boston police uniforms duped night guards into buzzed entry. "We got a report of disturbance," they lied. What followed was a cinema villain audacity, 81 minutes of mayhem. They covered the security guards' eyes and mouths with duct tape, handcuffed them to pipes, and put them in basement spaces away from each other. The thieves also disabled security cameras and pillaged the Dutch room. They slashed Rembrandt's only seascape he ever painted from its frame. By the way, Rembrandt is one of the men painted in a seascape. They also took another large Rembrandt with a double portrait of a Dutch couple, ripping off the canvases from their frames with a sharp blade. The thieves also ripped of a painting they thought was the third Rembrandt, but it was his student's art by Govert Flinck. He was one of successful numerous students Rembrandt had at his time. By the way, I have another video about Rembrandt's success and his house in Amsterdam. Please watch it after this video. Anyway, let's go back to the robbery. According to Anthony Armour, the thieves also planned on stealing Rembrandt's self-portrait, painted at 23 years of age. As they took it down, turned it to lean against the chest, and then just forgot to take this painting with them. They pocketed Vermeer's The Concert, one of just 36 artworks ever painted by the artist, could be worth 25 million alone. Surprisingly, they also took 5 Degas sketches and a tiny postage stamp sized Rembrandt etching. and an eagle finial from the Imperial Guard of Emperor Napoleon from the flag. So in total, they stole 13 pieces. They had stolen 6 pieces from the Dutch room and 6 from the short gallery. So the Dutch room contained paintings, and the short gallery had smaller drawings and the eagle. They also took a small painting by Manet from the blue room downstairs, which kind of makes no sense. I guess one of the thieves was French. The thieves spray painted a camera lens for good measure and fled into the dawn, leaving the guards bound till morning. The thieves spent an hour and 21 minutes inside the museum, more than any other thieves. To this day, those gaping frames hang exactly as the thieves left them, a defiant monument to loss. The FBI's probe rages on, with a 10 million reward dangling like forbidden fruit. Was it mafia muscle, art vault insiders? Theories swirl, but the masterpieces remain ghosts. It looks like the thieves were ordered to steal Rembrandts, as every other museum in Massachusetts with Rembrandt paintings had been robbed before the Gardners, according to the audio talk by Anthony Amore, the museum's chief of security and chief investigator. Could one of the thieves be French, as other French artworks disappeared from the museum too? Isabella died in 1924. In her will, she left 1 million endowment and asked for no rearranging of her galleries ever. So, surrounded by the treasures which I have gathered for the benefit of the public, her inscription reads on a courtyard tombstone. Isabella's spirit endures, bold, unapologetic, eternally collecting hearts. Isabella reminds us art is experience. What's your favorite room or painting in this museum? Let me know. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, looking at art. Maybe one day you visit this museum in Boston. Until then, please check out my own painting at veronicasar.com. Check out other videos about art museums on my YouTube channel. Take care. Bye bye.